to be here today talking to everybody about a subject that I am incredibly passionate about, which is social media marketing. And I'm going to talk about some of the topics in my latest book, 30-Minute Social Media Marketing. That's going to show you basically how to build your brand and your business fast, free, cheap, and really get results. So the first thing we need to talk about, though, to do that is I want to back up a second and remember that not everybody here is, there we go. Not everybody here is at the same level of social media marketing knowledge. So I just want to set the stage and say that you need to understand going into this that every minute you spend on social media activities can help your brand and your business. Every minute that you're not there is a missed opportunity that a competitor is very happy to take advantage of. So you're thinking, okay, social media marketing, great. I know we need to do it, but really I can't convince my executives that they need to invest more money. I need proof. Well, here's proof from a big company, a big brand, Harry Potter. A couple of years ago when the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, when the idea came to the team at Universal Studios, they needed to get the word out. Cindy Gordon was the VP of marketing at the time, and she was tasked with the responsibility of spreading the word about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So instead of investing millions of dollars on Super Bowl ads and all kinds of marketing gimmicks, she decided to contact the 7 most popular Harry Potter bloggers, told them that she was having a midnight webinar, and invited them to attend. At that time, they all dialed in and on their computers, very excited to see what this news was, and she announced that the Wizarding World of Harry Potter was coming. Within 1 minute, it had already been blogged about. It was already out on the social web, and within 24 hours, it's estimated that 350 people around the world had heard about it, all by telling 7 people. All right, so that's a big business example. How can small businesses do the same thing? You're thinking, I don't have the reach of Harry Potter. I don't have those kinds of deep pockets. I don't already have that kind of brand recognition. Well, a lot of you have probably already heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's a great small business example. This is someone who worked for his father's wine store in Springfield, New Jersey. And one day he had an idea to start a blog for the business. His father said, sure, go ahead. Doesn't matter to me. That's fine. Didn't really even know what it was. Gary starts the blog, eventually adds video content to it. And because he's so passionate about a subject and is so enigmatic, people started talking about these videos. Word started to spread. The buzz online spread far and wide. And today, his little wine store does $50 million a year in business, with over half of those sales coming online. And he has become a sought-after speaker about social media. He's got a multi-million-dollar, multi-book deal about social media, and it all started with a blog. Now, when you think about social media success, you have to think about it as a tool for building long-term, sustainable, organic growth, and that's where the power of social media comes from. You have to think of it as a brand-building tool where you have to be consistent in your message, your image. You have to set customer expectations based on your brand promise. You have to meet those expectations in every customer interaction, or consumers will be confused and they'll turn away from your brand. They won't know what to expect from you anymore. They won't feel secure. They won't trust your brand, and they'll turn away from it. And that has to do with your social media conversations and your content as well. You have to be willing to let the audience take control. That's something that large companies can't do. There are just too many chefs in the kitchen, and there's a hierarchy of decision-making that makes big businesses slow to react, and it's something that small businesses can do quickly because they can be so flexible. They don't have to go through those hierarchies. As I always say, big businesses can't get out of their own way. So I explain it as the 3 C's of social media marketing. There's a right way and a wrong way to do social media marketing if you want to succeed. And I break it into conversation, content, and control. First, conversation. The wrong way is to try to stop it. The right way is to let it flow. Let people talk about your brand. Harry Potter, this is a brand that wasn't built by the marketing behind the brand. In the very early days, It's a brand that was built very, very much by the online conversation, people who loved it and talked about it. When it comes to content, you have to share it. You have to allow people to share it. Put it with a Creative Commons license on it. Don't copyright protect it. Don't put a gateway for people to view that content. Let it spread without a barrier. And in terms of control, like we talked about before, large businesses have trouble. They can't give up control. But if you can let the conversation and your content spread, you'll benefit from it. And again, we go back to the Harry Potter example. I use that one a lot. I wrote a book about the Harry Potter brand, so it's one that is near and dear to my heart. But it's a fantastic example of how the social web can catapult a little brand, in this case a children's fantasy book, into a global phenomenon. In the early days of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling and Scholastic tried to stop the online conversation. They sent cease and desist letters to bloggers and people who wrote fan fiction. Well, guess what? They quickly realized by letting people take control of the online conversation, the brand would grow so much bigger. You need to do the same thing. Let people take control. It doesn't matter if you have a brand the size of Harry Potter or a brand the size of Wine Library in Springfield, New Jersey. Let people make the brand their own and become emotionally connected to it. On the flip side, a good example of someone who made a big mistake several years ago is Dell, who at one point there was a sales manager from a Dell kiosk who sent a letter to consumers, which at the time was one of the biggest blogs, basically sharing his, what he called the 22 confessions of a former Dell sales manager, where he shared all kinds of secrets of what Dell sales managers are taught to do to try to get people to buy more and try to get them to spend as much as possible. So consumers published it on their blog. Well, Dell didn't like it. Dell sent an email message to consumers saying, take that blog post down. Well, consumers decided not to listen to what Dell said, and they published the letter from Dell. So now Dell is really mad. In the meantime, this story is spreading all over the social web. Everyone is blogging about it. I blogged about it. Everyone is talking about it. It's being shared everywhere. So now Dell is really mad. So now they send an email with their attorney getting involved saying, take it down or we're going to sue you, basically. So consumer publishes that letter. Now Dell realizes, whoa, this story is everywhere. We can't try to control the conversation like this. That's a big mistake. So on their own blog, they ultimately published what they call Dell's 23 Confessions, where they, quote-unquote, said, we blew it, because they realized trying to control the conversation is a mistake. Well, so then you're thinking, well, what if they do say something bad? What happened with Dell? People are going to say negative things about your brand on the social web. It's inevitable. So you have three choices. You can either follow the 3 F's, flight, fight, or flood. You can either ignore it, consider the source. A lot of times a negative comment on a blog that's not well trafficked or on a forum that has very, very few people looking at it will just die. It will fade away. And rather than stoking the fire, let it fade away. On the flip side, what if someone says something about your brand on a really popular website or blog and it's getting a lot of exposure? Well, then you really need to join the conversation. You need to fight against it and try to steer the conversation in the right direction. Try to defend yourself. And then finally, you have the opportunity to basically flood the internet with more of your amazing content to try to bury those negative results in keyword searches so that people don't find them in years to come. So you have to think about social media. It's a lot more than just Twitter. It's a lot more than just a blog. There are all these various ways that we can get involved in the conversation. And think of it more as, particularly for small business owners, you don't have a huge team to help you. You don't have the money to invest. Well, if you do have employees, get them involved. Use your internal brand advocates. If they believe in your brand, they'll want to talk about it. There are so many different ways, even if you have a small team, that people can get involved. You just have to make sure that employees understand that they can speak in their own voices and they can advocate the brand, but they have to do it in a way that is personable, that supports the brand promise, and but at the same time allows them to have their own personality. I always say Zappos can do it, you can do it too. Here's Zappos Twitter policy. This really truly is it. Be real and use your best judgment. Now, if Zappos can let its employees go out and join the online conversation, so can you. But the thing is, Zappos employees are such brand advocates that the company can feel somewhat comfortable in that policy. Are your employees the right type of internal brand advocates that you can basically set them free online to talk about your brand? If they're not, then you